Zulu. So I mean, the GFS is still showing the 12Z data. I mean, the new incoming 18 Zulu data probably would probably maybe the peak intensity would be much stronger with rapid intensification pre-landfall. Then it kind of falls apart right after landfall. That generally is what tends to happen, and maybe the track data is not fully confident with that either. But I mean, the central and western Gulf Coast, nevertheless.
All right, we are now live, Isaac.
All right. Welcome, everyone. Today, this is Tracking the Tropics for August 20th, 2020. And I will show everyone the Atlantic satellite data. And we have plenty to get to today. Obviously, we got Tropical Depression 14 that is formed off of the off Cuba across the strait here. And we got Tropical Depression 13 that is forming just east of the Leeward Islands. And obviously, we're gonna see how things pan out with this. But we're seeing some we're seeing plenty of intensification with that, and I'm gonna see how things are playing out there. I mean, I think we're starting to see a little bit of embedded circulation within there.
Yeah, and Isaac, let's go ahead and do let's go ahead and just look at the whole basin real quick. This is the Atlantic basin where we have Tropical Depression 14, maximum sustained winds at 30 knots, which is equivalent to 35 miles an hour. Then we have Tropical Depression 13, 30 knots with the exact same with 35 mile an hour equivalation. And then back here toward the east, we have a tropical wave coming off Africa near Guna Vista. It has a 40% chance to develop within 5 days, and within 12 to 48 hours, a 20%. So let's start off with 13, which is probably the one that most of you all are worried about.
Yeah, sure. I'm going to pull up the.
This is 13.
I'm pulling up the satellite for 13 now. But in the meantime, for 13L, I'm going to pull up this intensity guidance. This has been initialized this afternoon. This is the new data that came in. Obviously, hold on. Yeah, Jonathan, feel free to whenever you're back from that, just let us know what's up. So yeah, 84 hours peak intensity. So just interpreting what I'm seeing here. So obviously we have this. We are intensifying. We're steadily intensifying here. Within 12 hours, we'll probably see something named between 12 and 24 hours, or something named as a tropical storm. And right now, maximum sustained winds are probably around 30 knots, as Jonathan has pointed out. That's equivalent to about 35 miles an hour. And we're steadily intensifying over the next day or so, and then after about 48 hours, we're starting to see the rapid intensification, and this is close to where landfall is, between 84 and 96 hours. We'll point that out on the track guidance here very soon. We can see how the rapid intensification persists, and some of these models may underdo it. So the consensus is we're likely going to be at a tropical storm, maybe even low in Category 1 at landfall, and that is what the NHC is projecting. We're likely to see, or we're increasingly likely, I should say, we're not immediately likely to see major impacts as a hurricane yet. That is stuff that we'll figure out over the coming days with the guidance increasing. And I think the trends are upping this a little bit further. Yesterday, we were talking about the slight possibility one of these models were throwing us at Cat 2. Now we got 1, 2, and probably 3 at borderline Cat 2 strength. I mean, that's what this is
That's
showing.
still strong.
Yeah, and again, the rate of increase is what I'm worried about because again, with the gusts, we could see Category 2 gusts nonetheless, but it's the 1 minute sustained average that I'm worried about. So, I mean, if we see a 1 minute gust or that becomes sustained, like we could, that's how things could go Category 2 really quickly. Again, that tends to happen with this. I mean, it may not be immediately likely, but a lot of times in the tropics, the pressure tightens up a whole lot. I mean, there's a good contrast with that. So, I mean, we could see unexpected developments with tropical systems because, again, this is the Gulf of Mexico. The sea surface temperatures are really impressive. So we will keep a close eye on this as such. I will.
Jonathan's coming back.
All right, so this is 13 Zulu guidance here, and we can see that. Hold on. All right, so we can see that the center of circulation within there, or I mean, it's surrounding that area. Hold on. I apologize for that. So yeah, we can see how there is an increase of shear within 13. I will put that out there. And yeah, 1 second. We could see 13 on there. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to show you guys too. Comparing the intensity guidance, we're at 84 at peak intensity. That goes to 96 there. Sorry, I'm hearing a lot of noise upstairs. I'll have to check in with that. So yeah, we can see 96 hours. We're just off of the Florida Peninsula.
JD,
and
that's you.
What?
You making a lot of noise
or
in your background or something.
No, that's our upstairs. There's our dog was barking. I apologize for that. Yeah, I meant to mute earlier, but Jonathan, would you like to present us with your thoughts on how this will evolve? What do you think? Just looking at the satellite image, do you think that we're seeing? Yeah, we can see.
Okay, so which one is this? Oh, sweet.
Sorry about that network issues there. So yeah, near the center, we can point out that, yeah, near the center, we're starting to see convective development really ramp up. And that's what we're mostly worried about. So yeah, yeah, 1 second.
Okay, so I'm here. I'm back. This is my thoughts. This must be 90. This must be TD 13. This must be Tropical Depression 13. AL.
Yes, right.
Yeah, we know this is the one that's going to become a hurricane. And
yep, we do.
It's the one that you need to watch. This is the one that's going to become a hurricane by Monday. And possibly hit Florida. Now, it could take that southern track, like a lot of the models are saying, or it could take the northern track, like a lot of the models are saying. Either way, either way, it's going to take one of those two tracks, and that's something that we need to watch, hear, and be concerned about as we do go through the next few days. Now, in the ticker, we can't just tell. We know this storm is at least 5 to 7 days out. And we can't just tell you, hey, we're going to have a storm that hits on Monday in Florida. It could go to, the storm may not even hit Florida, may not touch Florida. It could skip Florida and go on over to Alabama. So this is what I've been saying over the past few days, that we've been doing the show. If you just have a plan anywhere in the Gulf states, from Florida on over to Texas, because we have two different storms that's going to hit 2 different areas as we do
Yes.
speak. Or we're gonna have two different storms that's gonna target the same region. So that's something that we need to be concerned about.
Yep. I think we do too, I think.
So yeah, I will point out that you can see on the left side we have another band associated with that. We're starting to see convection really fire up with that, and we can see that I think we're going to have to watch the southern end of that pretty closely. Yeah, I believe the southern end. You know, this could spiral around the back end. I mean, just depending on where we get that deepening surface pressure. I mean, I could check surface analysis, but I think the pressure is just now deepening a little bit with that. Yeah, I'm going to show you guys the model track projections now. We can see that this is packed together, you know, consistently past 24 hours. And then when we get to 48, you can see how things spread out a little bit more. So, I mean, there is consensus there that the southern Florida peninsula will be impacted there, Jonathan. I will
I think
mention
so
that.
too.
Yeah, so I mean, you can see there's a range of impacts from the Florida Keys up to the central Florida peninsula. I mean, so there is high confidence right now, just given what I'm seeing, that this tropical system will make it to Florida. Whether that is a hurricane or not, it is, you know, it is likely we will see this become a hurricane, and whether this will landfall as a hurricane, that, you know, there is increasing likelihood, or increasing confidence, I should say. But again, we cannot absolutely guarantee that
No, we
Florida
can't.
will be directly hit.
No.
We'll have to see what the range of impacts are. I mean, where this will landfall, we're not certain. But we are certain that between 96 and 120 hours out. So I mean,
That's all we know.
5 days or less than
And
5
this
days.
is what I was saying, Isaac. I'm gonna piggyback off. I'm gonna piggyback off of what you were just saying. I see the models. Yeah, we know some. It's a possibility. This is again. These models have been
Okay, we'll
changing
talk a
every day.
minute.
Yesterday they didn't show that. Yesterday they didn't show they was going to hit Florida. Today they're showing that. And then also some models, just like with the other storm, with 14 now, it was showing that
We're
won't
up in the air.
that'll hit Louisiana, and they are saying it's going to go toward Texas. So the models keep changing every day. And
Yep.
again, we're still going to have to take them with a grain of salt. This is 5 to 6 to 7 days out. Give me, y'all can go ahead, JD.
Okay, I'm gonna do some talking here in a minute. I mean, we're 5 or 6 days out, folks. I mean, we done these hurricanes, we done tropical storms, severe weather events. It's not like we can get into a book and tell you, oh, it's going to happen soon. All we can tell you is all the tracks are out there showing something. Each day it could change. Am I right, Jonathan?
Yeah, you are correct.
Am I right?
You're right, because they could change like by tomorrow. We could have something
And we
totally
don't want
different.
anybody going on. We don't want anybody going.
That's true. We don't. And I seen on YouTube yesterday somebody had put that the storm that is now Tropical Depression 13 had a 95% chance of
And,
developing.
well,
That wasn't true.
We could get some.
That was not true. The storm only had a 90% chance of developing. So those are people who are hyping the tropical situation. Don't look at that. But this is a quick overview of the Atlantic. We got Depression 14 in between Cuba and Mexico and parts of Central America that has 30 knot winds, equivalent to 35. Then you have 13, which is the one that may hit Florida and become that hurricane, maximum sustained winds of 30 knots, which is 35 miles an hour. Now, I'm paying attention to the central pressure, 1008. And the movement is west-northwest at about 18 knots. And that's 21 miles an hour. It's moving quickly for us here. So this is moving quite fast for what it is. And then you have the storm off the coast of Africa that is already rapidly intensifying, moving toward the east here. And that, let me see, a tropical wave nearing the western African coast is producing disorganized showers and thunderstorms with a few hundred miles of disorganization, or disorganized showers and thunderstorms within a few hundred miles of the Guna Vista coastline forest here. And we've been talking about computer models. They continue to change. We'll look at those here in a few minutes, Isaac.
All right. So, yeah, just ignore that comment there, Jonathan. So, yeah, I'm going to, or hold on. Yeah, 1 second. Sorry about that. All right. So, yeah. I'm going to, yeah, just provide some clarity with this. With this again here, we can see how things are spread out, and I'm going to compare that to our 13L model guidance. There, we can see how that it's projected to rapidly increase, and we can see, or rather, I should say. It's kind of a steady strengthening. If it goes the more steady route, obviously we may see less impacts directly, and it may modify with track there. And we can see peak intensity at 84 hours, and then pre-landfall it kind of falls apart a little bit. And 1 second. We actually have you on twice there, JD. We actually have you on here twice. There we go.
The internet just kicked off. That's what happened somewhere.
Okay. Yeah. So I'm gonna provide a little bit more information on 14 there. Yeah, 1 second. So we can see the so yeah, we got 14 there. I'm gonna provide a little bit more in depth on 14 there. 1 second. It's gonna load a bit.
Looks like it's.
Yeah, I'm having trouble.
The site cannot be reached.
Yeah, I was trying to get the satellite data for 14, see if we get a little bit of a depiction near the center there. But I mean, shear's increasing a little bit. I will point that out. We can see on here that particularly near the center, we're starting to see a little bit of a surface low in there. I mean, we can see that there is a little bit of embedded circulation within there. I mean, it's embedded. It's not broad by any means yet. And see, this is activity is pretty well organized. We're seeing some. We can see how stuff is lifting from there. Yeah, and we're watching this jet here. We got plenty of thunderstorm activity across the southeast as well, stretching from, all the way across Florida, Georgia, into the Carolinas. And we can see some of this activity maybe producing some wind and hail. I mean, there's that marginal risk across the southeast, and we can see how organized these storms are. As that jet stream really picks up all that warm ocean water all that storm activity across the southeast. This is all this Gulf moisture. You can see how that impacts, and then depending on how fast this clears the area, that will likely, and if this tracks a bit slower, I mean, obviously this is projected to kind of steadily track across the Gulf and into Texas, Louisiana area. We're going to pay a little bit of close attention to that. And I'm also going to caution that, I'm pretty sure that the activity associated with this Genevieve, it's going to clear the area pretty fast, and that will kind of pave the way for a track towards the central and western Gulf Coast. And we are not for certain the impacts with 14, but I will say that with peak intensity at 96, 14L, we have that shot. Yeah, this is the new guidance, 18 Zulu. We're steadily and then rapidly increasing into tropical storm strength. I mean, only 1, 2, 3 of these outputs have us at hurricane, low-end hurricane, category 1, I should say. But again, I'm just going to pay attention to the rate of increase there. We can see how it weakens a little ways before landfall and then intensifies again. That's kind of what I saw in models earlier, the GFS I showed you guys that earlier. How right after 96 hours, we can see as it impacts land, it falls apart really quickly in the wake of that other system, 13L. And then this will likely, there will be that other trough of low pressure, that will, and obviously with the water and whatnot, it's no longer part of warm water. So I think that's when the pressure increases and the intensity drops. That's another thing to point out with this. But again, when we get to where we are with confidence, I mean, it will likely landfall at tropical storm strength. We are not sure about category 1. It has that shot, but I mean,
we don't know yet.
We don't think it's likely. And that's what I'd like to address. And then we can see how this model spread, there's plenty of model spread with this. So, I mean, we don't have a confident track. I mean, some models bring us to the Florida Panhandle into the Alabama coast. Some of them bring us to Texas. And I mean that just with all this model spread out there, it would have to depend on the timing with 13L and obviously, if we get a trough of low pressure that digs way down, I mean, that will likely affect the track. I mean, that would probably result in one of these more right motion curves. I mean, the rate of where we go left a little bit and then it steadies out, then it curves right. I mean, that would have to be followed by probably another superseding area of high pressure that would cause the track to go another way. But the consensus is we're likely looking at landfall between Texas, Louisiana, and such. I mean, I think these are latter 2 models. So, like, initially, we probably didn't suggest. I think a couple of them got it closer to 18 or the 13L. I mean, now we're looking pretty confident, particularly over parts of Louisiana. That's where the more likely track is. But obviously, there will be plenty of track adjustments to keep in mind with that. And so I mean, I'm going to kind of go over the key. I just want to do a little bit of last thoughts before we're off. Obviously, Jonathan, JD,
Okay. Real quick. This is one of the computer models. This is GFS, and on Saturday, starting it off with Saturday. And also, if you have a derogatory comment, don't put it in the comments because you will be blocked. Anyway, you can see there are some showers and thunderstorms down there toward the Gulf, but that would be what is 97L. And it'll be moving towards, looks like this is taking a northwest movement of it. So, and this is just one model. And then let's see, Louisiana gets some rain, but now it shows landfall in Louisiana here. And quite a low pressure. You got a 1014 toward the north. That is at a 938 on the line there. And then you can see 1010 here pops back up. And this would be what's left of it. It just scatters out from Texas on over into Alabama. And that would be it with that one. Then we'll be watching the second one, which does not pop up on here because it'll be farther back toward the east. But we'll continue to watch them both here. And there'll be a front that comes through early September. And I'm not sure if that cold front is going to help with that storm and steer it, the remnants of it, toward the west or toward the
Okay.
north. We don't know.
We don't know yet.
Yeah, I mean, I will kind of say that, things are uncertain. I mean, and I will point out that with both systems likely to impact the Gulf by some degree, we know that we know that that's the likelihood. But I will also suggest that with the intensity guidance, will likely bring us somewhere within the neighborhood of tropical storm, maybe low end hurricane. We're pretty confident we're getting some idea of how this will impact the area within the next 5 days. Or obviously, this is still quite a ways out. We're going to see hopefully some changes for the better, or we'll hope for the best here. But we still need to pay close attention because things could have the shot to get much worse depending on how long it stays over water. And obviously, these systems have the tendency to fall apart at landfall. And yeah, a couple of storm community people have mentioned that again, intensity plots. The rate of increase is one thing to look at, but I mean, things could be underestimated a little bit. It is possible that although we
Yeah, I
don't
think so,
know,
right, Jonathan?
yeah, 1 second. I mean, we got to prepare for the worst case scenario. Don't pay attention to the worst case scenario, or don't let that be any reason to suspect that the worst will happen. But say that it's a possibility. It is likely that the track will significantly impact most of the Gulf Coast with definitely some surf impacts, nevertheless. But obviously, flooding, wind.
Maybe some tornadoes.
Well, we can't rule that out yet. But it is possible. And I will also mention,
JD, I'm sorry to interrupt, Isaac, but JD, don't just focus on the tornado activity because some of the wind gusts in here could be higher than what a normal F0 tornado would be. So don't just focus on the
Yeah.
tornadic activity. It doesn't matter if there's going to be a tornado.
Okay.
You just shouldn't be worried about the
The
tornado.
winds can be bad.
Yeah, the winds will probably be worse than an isolated threat of a tornado. I'm just going to be straight up honest with you.
I can see winds going up. The winds can blow down trees, power lines. You could lose power for several days.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
yeah,
you
sure.
can.
And also with tornadoes, they're mostly embedded in hurricanes. So any kind of tropical system, obviously, when we get that contrast in pressure, obviously there's that warm rising air at the surface, and there's all this sinking air that spirals around it, and obviously there's recurring up and down drafts, everything within there because the pressure's so packed together. So that's why the tornadoes are more embedded, and that's not the primary hazard. Generally, the winds, sometimes they could be, the difference between gusts and just a typical thunderstorm that's producing a downdraft, and then a hurricane. The winds, over 50 knots, and miles per hour, whatnot. They are sustained gusts or sustained winds, for at least 1 minute sustained average. When we get that 1 minute sustained average to whatever degree, 73 miles per hour, that is Category 1 hurricane. When we go to near 100 miles an hour, that's Category 2. I would have to get a mental picture of that, but obviously, the categories in hurricanes, whenever we get further into the, obviously there's more problems to like outbuildings, trees, power lines, all that. They could become airborne, or there's airborne debris and stuff like that, because all of that wind is pushing ashore. And I will also stress that with the pressure
Yeah, I can
contrast,
see all that.
it will affect the waves. I mean, that will likely lead to some embedded storm surge flooding. We cannot emphasize like how much of a possibility that is, as opposed to like how likely one thing turns out, because we don't like, obviously storm surge will be dependent on pressure and winds pushing ashore. And that is another thing that is possible. And obviously coastal erosion, coastal flooding could possibly be an issue as well near the coast. So obviously
And let
interest
me
near
add on to that.
Okay.
And let me add on to that. The probability of actually getting those sustained winds within. Now, I know it's kind of like you have to do the math. You have to divide into it. So the probability of actually getting sustained wind within that swath, the Hurricane Center, they put out the wind path graphics when it comes down to these uh, come down to these tropical systems, and also the area where you usually would get most of the wind. This is a thing. If
Yeah.
like I'll say this, there's probabilities. You have at least a 10 to 100% chance. That's the way they color it. Now, if you're back down there to the red, then that's what you're in. You're in there 100% chance of seeing those winds. But the thing is you have to realize if you're doing this to the neighborhood level, there could be another percentage in there, another few hundred miles you have to divide and tackle on before you figure out your particular chance of seeing these winds. Now, if you're in that 100% chance, then you have a pretty great shot, a pretty good shot, even in your neighborhood to see that particular wind gust. But the thing is, if you're in that 10, 20, 30% chance, you have to go in, come into your particular neighborhood and divide it by the particular square miles or kilometers you're away from the particular center of circulation. Now, we usually say that the winds could extend from the center as far as 100, maybe 200 miles an hour out. It depends on how big the storm is.
Yeah, sure. And
that's right.
I will say again, we don't know the localized impacts and whatnot. I mean, it could be narrowed down.
No, we don't know yet.
And I will say this. Obviously, I feel like we've covered what we needed to cover mostly today. And we're going to see some major new developments here in the future, and we're going to pay very close attention. And as we go a bit further in time, obviously with new developments, you can expect to hear more from us. And obviously, you can be with me, Jonathan, and JD. We will do our afternoon show, and over the coming days, if we do. Well, we'll talk about that later. So I will say that eventually we're going to get some of our expert analysis team and hopefully get some more of our expert analysis committee folks to join us to help us to pass along new developments and thoughts of what could happen. And we ultimately want to hear from you. If you we cannot guarantee one solution that works out for all of us, but we are just sharing our thoughts and everything. But please stay tuned. We will have more reports to pass along. So stand by. We will see you guys soon.
What happened?